When we invoke the image of Ganesha as the remover of obstacles, it is easy to think of external challenges, the closed doors, the setbacks, the resistance of the world around us. But the deeper meaning, the one that speaks directly to our inner life, is not about moving mountains outside. It is about dissolving the mountains we carry within. Every obstacle that truly limits us lives in the mind and in the heart. It takes the form of self-doubt, of fear, of inherited beliefs that no longer serve us. And yet these obstacles are not enemies. They are teachers. They are signals showing us where awareness must shine more brightly. When you close your eyes in meditation, you begin to witness how many of these obstacles are nothing more than repeating thoughts, looping stories, and emotional residues that you have mistaken for truth. You see how the mind can create entire landscapes of resistance, walls that appear solid until you lean against them with presence and realize they dissolve into air. This is the first gift of Ganesha's wisdom, the recognition that no obstacle is permanent, no inner block unmovable, when the light of awareness is allowed to enter. Think of the way the sun rises and melts away the fog. The fog was not the absence of light, it was simply a temporary veil, concealing what was always there. In the same way, meditation uncovers clarity. It does not add something new to you, it removes what never truly belonged. Every doubt, every fear, every story you tell yourself about limitation, these are the fogs of consciousness. Ganesha, in his symbolic form, stands as the power of the sun within you, the energy that clears away what clouds your vision. In this clearing, you do not simply find silence, you find possibility. Suddenly, choices you did not see before are revealed. Suddenly, paths that felt blocked begin to open. But the most important shift is not in the outer path, but in your perception. You begin to sense that the real obstacle was never the circumstance. The real obstacle was always the way you identified with your own resistance. When that identification falls away, the external situation loses its weight. You are no longer trapped by it because you see yourself as larger, freer, and infinitely more creative than the story of the obstacle. This is the secret of Ganesha's wisdom. Obstacles are not punishments or barriers placed to harm you. They are invitations to awaken. They are reminders that the deeper you go inward, the less power those blocks hold. And once the inner clarity is found, even the outer difficulties transform. They no longer seem threatening, but become part of your growth, part of your unfolding journey. So when we meditate on Ganesha as the remover of obstacles, we are not asking for life to be without challenge. We are asking to see clearly enough that challenge itself becomes a teacher and clarity becomes our constant companion. When we turn to the image of Ganesha, we are invited into a profound meditation on balance. He carries the majestic head of an elephant, a symbol of power, strength, and unshakable presence. Yet this immense strength is united with the small body of a child, radiating innocence, playfulness, and purity. It is a reminder that true wisdom is not found in one extreme or the other. It is not found in domination, nor is it found in fragility. It lives in the marriage of opposites, in the capacity to be both strong and gentle, powerful and tender, vast and humble, all at once. Meditation allows us to experience this balance directly within ourselves. Often, we lean too far toward one side. We build armor around our hearts, mistaking hardness for resilience, or we dissolve our boundaries completely, mistaking softness for surrender. But life is asking us to integrate both. To live only with strength is to close off the flow of compassion. To live only with gentleness is to lose the rootedness that anchors us when storms come. The symbol of Ganesha whispers that the real path is not about choosing, but about weaving strength and softness into one seamless presence. When you sit in stillness, you can feel both energies alive within you. There is a core that is unshakable, a still point that does not move no matter what thoughts arise or what emotions flow through. That is your strength. But there is also an openness, a willingness to receive, a sensitivity that does not resist but embraces the moment as it is. That is your gentleness. To meditate is to recognize that these qualities are not separate but interdependent. Strength without gentleness becomes rigidity. Gentleness without strength becomes fragility. Together, they create harmony like two notes in a single chord. Consider how an elephant moves. It has the capacity to uproot a tree, yet it also knows how to pick up a single blade of grass with its trunk. That same paradox lives within you. The wisdom lies not in rejecting one aspect for the other, but in knowing when each is called forth. Life will sometimes ask you to be firm, to draw boundaries, to stand immovable in truth. At other times, it will ask you to yield, to listen, to extend tenderness toward yourself and others. This is the dance of balance, the rhythm of being human. When you meditate with the image of Ganesha in mind, you begin to sense that balance as your own inner nature. You are not merely strong in moments of challenge, and you are not merely gentle in moments of peace. You are both, always, a fusion of energies that creates stability without hardness, openness without weakness. To awaken to this realization is to live in harmony with the wisdom of balance, where strength supports love, and love gives direction to strength. When we reflect on the form of Ganesha, one of the most striking features is his great ears, wide and open, as if designed to listen to the universe itself. They are not there merely for decoration in mythology. They carry a message about wisdom. To listen deeply is one of the highest expressions of awareness, and it is also one of the rarest. Most of the time, what we call listening is only waiting for our turn to speak or filtering reality through the noise of our own expectations. True listening is something different. It is the art of receiving without resistance, the art of attuning yourself to the subtle rhythms beneath words, beneath appearances, beneath even your own thoughts. In meditation, listening becomes the gateway to presence. When you sit in silence, the first thing you notice is how loud the mind actually is. Endless commentary, judgments, memories, fantasies. But if you continue to stay, something remarkable happens. You begin to notice the silence underneath the noise, a silence that has been there all along. That silence is not empty. It is alive, vibrating with intelligence, with intuition, with the gentle whispers of your own deeper nature. Ganesha's great ears remind us to turn toward that silence, to listen not just with the mind, but with the heart. To listen in this way transforms every part of life. When you listen to another person without judgment, without the urge to correct or defend, you create a space where they too can touch their own truth. When you listen to nature, to the wind moving through trees, to the song of a bird, you discover that the universe is always speaking to you, always offering guidance through its patterns and its beauty. And when you listen inwardly, with patience and openness, you begin to hear the wisdom that is not born from thought, but from stillness. The great ears of Ganesha teach us that wisdom is not gained by speaking more, by doing more, by filling space with our own sound. Wisdom is born from the humility to receive, and this kind of listening is not passive. It requires an alertness, a sharpness, a willingness to be fully present. It means listening even when the ego wants to interrupt, listening even when silence feels uncomfortable, listening until you sense that beneath the noise, there is a harmony connecting all things. In this way, deep listening becomes an act of devotion. It honors the divine presence in others, in nature, and in yourself. Each time you choose to listen instead of react, you clear away a little more of the inner clutter. Each time you return to silence, you discover a little more of who you truly are. And in the same way Ganesha's great ears remind us to be open, the more we listen, the more we find that wisdom was never outside, it was always waiting within. When we turn our attention to the image of Ganesha, we see the striking combination of his small eyes and his large head. At first glance, it may seem like a playful exaggeration, but hidden within it is a deep teaching about the nature of perception and wisdom. The small eyes symbolize focus, the ability to see clearly and without distraction, while the large head represents expansive thinking, the vastness of imagination, and the wisdom that stretches beyond ordinary limitations. Together, they remind us that true awareness is not narrow and rigid, nor is it scattered and unfocused. It is a union of precise vision and boundless openness. In meditation, this union becomes a living reality. The small eyes point us inward, training our attention on the present moment, on the subtle details of breath, sensation, or thought. They teach us that clarity comes from discipline, from the ability to look closely at what is before us without turning away, without being carried off by the endless drift of the mind. But clarity alone is not enough. If we reduce awareness to only what is in front of us, we may lose sight of the greater whole. This is where the symbol of the large head enters, urging us to expand, to open to the limitless field of consciousness where intuition, creativity, and wisdom reside. Think of a painter at work. The fine detail of the brush requires the sharpness of focus, the small eyes. But to create a masterpiece, the painter must also hold a vision of the whole canvas, the larger picture into which each detail fits. Meditation is much the same. It invites us to refine our focus so that we can truly see, while at the same time allowing us to sense the greater field in which everything arises. The result is a balance between precision and expansiveness, between the sharpness of the moment and the openness of eternity. Often in daily life, we get caught in one extreme. We become so focused on small problems, so lost in the details of our struggles, that we forget the vastness of life beyond them. Or we drift so far into abstract possibilities and grand ideas that we lose our grounding in the here and now. The image of Ganesha shows us that wisdom is not about choosing one side, but about holding both. Focus is what allows us to act with clarity. Expansiveness is what allows us to act with vision. Together, they create a harmony that makes life both meaningful and luminous. As you sit in stillness, notice how your own awareness can shift between these two qualities. There are moments when attention narrows, when the smallest sensation feels vivid and alive. And there are moments when awareness widens, when you sense the vast space that contains all experience. Both are true, both are necessary. To meditate with this understanding is to awaken the gift of seeing clearly while thinking vastly, living with precision and with openness all at once. When we look at Ganesha, one of the most fascinating features is his trunk. It is unlike any other part of the animal kingdom, able to uproot a tree with tremendous strength, and in the same breath, able to pick up the smallest petal from the ground without damaging it. This duality of power and delicacy offers us a profound teaching. It is the symbol of adaptability, of the ability to meet life exactly as it comes, whether the moment calls for firmness or for gentleness. To meditate on the trunk is to reflect on our own capacity to move fluidly between strength and subtlety, between decisive action and tender presence. Life is constantly shifting. Some moments demand that we stand tall, rooted and firm, with no room for hesitation. At other times, the moment calls for us to soften, to bend, to yield gracefully to what is unfolding. The wisdom of adaptability lies in knowing which quality to embody and when. If we remain rigid in our ways, we resist the natural flow of life and suffer in the process. If we remain too yielding, we lose our sense of direction and purpose. Balance comes from the awareness that both qualities are alive within us, waiting to be awakened as each situation requires. In meditation, this adaptability becomes deeply visible. There are days when the mind feels wild and restless, when thoughts pull in every direction. In those moments, we learn to anchor ourselves with strength, returning again and again to the breath, steady and unwavering. But there are other days when the mind is soft, when silence welcomes us with ease. On those days, gentleness guides the practice, and we simply allow ourselves to be carried deeper without force. The trunk of Ganesha reminds us that wisdom is not about clinging to one way of being, but about the art of shifting gracefully between the energies that life brings. Think of water flowing through a river. It moves with force when it needs to carve through stone, yet it glides gently when it touches the banks. This same quality exists within us. When we are present, we can respond to challenges with strength that is unshakable, but also with tenderness that does not harm. We can stand firm in truth while remaining compassionate in expression. We can be bold without aggression, gentle without weakness. Adaptability, in its essence, is the harmony of opposites, just as the trunk can be both mighty and delicate at once. To meditate with this awareness is to cultivate flexibility of spirit. It is to live in such a way that nothing in life feels unmanageable, because you can bend when bending is required, and you can stand tall when standing is the only choice. This adaptability is not compromise, it is wisdom in action, the capacity to flow with life while remaining rooted in your own center. To embody it is to discover a freedom that no circumstance can take away,